Live and local, it's the Drive Guys. Watch the show on youtube.com/Sactown Sports 1140.
Or listen on the Sactown Sports app.
Well, we made show history today. This was the first time Kyle Draper said something so ridiculous about the 49ers quarterbacks. He made himself laugh.
What did I say? I don't even remember what I said.
Brock Purdy is in danger of becoming Jimmy Garoppolo.
It made me laugh again. It made me laugh again.
A straight face.
That was a good line. You got to admit that. That was a great line, man. That was, Brock Purdy. Poor guy.
Huh. Well,
how many interceptions he throw today? Do we know?
Brock Purdy today?
Yeah.
I don't know, and it doesn't matter. None of the passing stats in training camp matter. If a guy was 7 for 9, it doesn't matter. If a guy was 8 for 8 and 7 on 7s, it doesn't
so
matter.
So if they don't look good on camp, you're not worried as a fan if you're a Niners fan.
It's not good if a guy looks bad in camp for like 2 weeks straight.
That's all I'm asking. That's all
but as far as the numbers, well, what was his completion percentage?
Yeah, I don't care about that. Yeah. But if he throws 4 more picks today, 3 on Monday, 4 Tuesday, 4 Wednesday, then it's like,
but
all
he's
right,
explained that.
All right.
Explained all
He's just out there taking chances.
Working on things.
Right.
Working on things. Yeah, let's see what our next guest thinks. NFL reporter for Heavy on Sports, Matt Lombardo with us. Matt, I hate to drag you into our our dispute here, but Drapes is not the biggest Niner guy. He's an Eagle fan. He thinks Brock Purdy's on his way to being Jimmy Garoppolo because he's throwing so many picks in camp. I say it's really nothing to worry about in camp. What about you, Matt Lombardo?
Yeah, I've covered a lot of training camps over my time, right? I was there for Carson Wentz's rookie year. I watched Daniel Jones's rookie year. I've gone on a couple of training camp tours where I've seen several teams and joint practices and those sort of things. I'm not going to get too worked up about Brock Purdy throwing interceptions before the calendar even flips to August. You're shaking off the rust from the previous year. You're still trying to get a handle for the receivers that you're throwing to with Brandon Ayuk, Meyer in this contract situation. You're rotating guys in. You don't have the same chemistry that you do in the middle of the year. I was never a guy. I know fans love this. I know that, the most read story when I was on the Eagles beat was the Carson Wentz report card from Thursday's practice. Fans eat that stuff up. But I just don't get the sense that interceptions in practice matter all that much or translated into what you're going to see in the middle of the season.
I agree, Matt. All right, Matt. With that being said, when you look at this Niners team, and we'll stick with the quarterback, Brock Purdy, where's the area of growth that we see him taking going into year 3? Obviously him trying to get a better command, a firmer command of the offense, more ownership of the offense, his growth. Where do you see that going here in year 3?
Yeah, I don't really know what you need to see from a growth standpoint in that offense, right? I mean, here's a guy who threw for over 3,100 passing yards last year, over 30 touchdowns, I believe 11 or 12 interceptions. You'd love to see, ironically, given the tone of this conversation, the interception number go down a little bit. But, when you're orchestrating an offense and you're the conductor of a set of weapons that includes Christian McCaffrey, the premier running back in the league, George Kittle, a top 2, at worst, tight end in the league, depending on how you view Travis Kelce. And you look at the receiving core, if they're all there and healthy with Debo and Brandon Ayuk and the weapons they have, I don't know that you necessarily need Brock Purdy to be the guy. Now, obviously, after this year, the 49ers are going to pay him potentially as the highest paid quarterback in the league, depending on how this season plays out, and certainly in the top 5. But I don't know that you need him to carry the offense. I think you just need him to facilitate the weapons around him. And he proved last year he can excel at that.
Matt Lombardo's with us, NFL reporter from Heavy on Sports. Matt, we, like everybody else who's talking football right now, has been talking a lot about Aaron Rodgers recently, and he's yelling at his teammates and this and that. And I was looking at your major awards predictions, and it looks like you're a believer in Aaron Rodgers this year. Is that fair to say?
I'm a cautious optimist when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, right? Because I think it would be a great story if he comes back after, only lasting 4 plays last year and the Jets franchise finally breaks through and makes a playoff run this year. But, Aaron Rodgers, in order to win Comeback Player of the Year, which I think he's going to be a prohibitive favorite for just based on how last year played out and all the weapons they have around him, he's going to need to prove that what we saw in 2022 was the fluke, that was the outlier at this stage of his career. Because if we remember back, guys, he was not great that final season in Green Bay. The Packers missed the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He was one of the big reasons why. Not a great statistical year from him, not a great year in clutch moments for Aaron Rodgers. But I do think when you look at the supporting cast that they have there with Garrett Wilson and you bring in Mike Williams, and I think that Breece Hall has the potential to push for close to 2,000 all-purpose yards this year, not to mention a top 5 defense in the league. If Rodgers is anywhere close to what he was the last several years before the trade, they're going to be in good shape. They're going to be able to make a run in that division, and he's going to get a lot of respect for that Comeback Player of the Year award, especially now that the focus is almost primarily on coming back from injuries.
Matt Lombardo joining us here in the Drive, guys. Sactown Sports, 1140. Matt, let's stick with the quarterbacks. I know you wrote about Dak Prescott and what kind of contract he might be in line for, somewhere between $57 and $60 million. What do you make of the contracts being handed out for the quarterbacks, and where do you have Brock Purdy being slated at next year?
Yeah, I think, guys, what you're seeing is teams are finally coming around to the idea that you're signing quarterbacks, especially homegrown talent, based on projecting potential rather than rewarding past success. And, you look at Trevor Lawrence, ironically, I think that deal is going to wind up being a bargain at some point. I believe he's in the $52.5 to $53 million annual range. But you look at what Jordan Love just parlayed 6.5 really great games into last year as the highest paid quarterback in the league. That kind of tells you the direction that the market is heading. And as one prominent NFL agent told me this week, writing the Dak Prescott angle, that, it's almost a next man up mentality. It's almost like whoever is up for that next deal is going to be the next highest paid quarterback in the league. And I look at Brock Purdy, you look at the resume, right? You look at the fact that he's been to a Super Bowl, took Patrick Mahomes to the doorstep in overtime, been to the conference title game, really seems to be the conductor of that Kyle Shanahan offense. And you also look at the need, right? You're not going to be in a position to go out and draft quarterback to replace him or get somebody you think could be an upgrade from a skill or talent standpoint. You're kind of rolling with the known commodity. I don't think there's any reason why he won't command upwards of $55 to $58 million, right? I mean, that seems to be around that range. That seems to be the going rate for a guy you drafted and took you to a Super Bowl. No, he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not, one of those guys that wins just on his gifts and his talent, but he understands the system. He knows how to get the most of his supporting cast, and they've obviously been comfortable with what he is and how he operates and how he wins.
You didn't want to go up to 60, did you, Matt? Didn't want to take it that far. We'll see. Matt Lombardo with us from Heavy on Sports. I asked listeners if they might have a question for you, and somebody has one here on the text line, so I wanted to share it. 49er question. Last year's defense was a juggernaut on paper, but they felt extremely underwhelming all season long. Is that simply to be placed on the now departed coordinator Steve Wilks, or did the players hold blame in that pie for their performance last year, Matt? How would you answer that?
Boy, that's such a tough question. That's the classic chicken and the egg question, right? I think that when you have that much talent and you have Fred Warner out there and, you're aggressive at the deadline and you bring in Chase Young to put opposite of Bosa, the talent is there. The pieces are in place. The secondary is, with Tre'Davious Ward and the talent you have back there, a top 3 secondary in the NFL, if not better than that. I think that a lot of that has to come down to scheme and coaching. And I like Steve Wilks. I think he's a great guy, and I think that he has his opportunities here. But I think that you get a scheme that's more fit for the personnel that you have in place, similar to what the 49ers have on offense with Kyle Shanahan. I think they're going to be bouncing back in a pretty big way defensively.
That would be a huge boom for them. Let me ask you this, Matt. When you look at the Niners, clearly they're the favorites in the NFC. how close is number 2 in the NFC to San Francisco? Who's the challenger to them?
It's not close.
No, I'm going to let the expert answer that.
All right, I'm sorry.
Matt, let me just say, these guys got their 49ers underoos on right now, and so they're waving the red and gold flag. I need an unbiased expert like yourself. How tight is the NFC?
I think you're on a collision course with the Detroit Lions in an NFC Championship situation. I'm not sure whether it's at Ford Field or back at Levi Stadium next January. I don't think the gap is as wide as a lot of people might think. And I think that the Lions arrived last year a little bit ahead of schedule with such a young roster. Now you get them, through a playoff run, to a championship game, to a halftime lead in that game. But you learn a lot from those experiences, right? And it's a hungry roster. It's a hyper-competitive group of players. When I look at the NFC guys, I think it's really the 49ers and the Lions. You lump the Packers into maybe that 1B type of tier. And then there's a little bit of a gap, I think, between those three teams and the Eagles and the Cowboys. And look out for the Washington Commanders. I'm not saying they're a Super Bowl team, but they're going to be a plucky, upstart, playoff caliber contender that can ruin somebody's day. I think that the 49ers and the Lions are on a collision course, but how that next year shakes out is going to be fascinating over the course of this year.
Hold on, Whitey. Hold up.
That's the second time we've had a guest mention the Commanders in 2 weeks.
And here's the thing, though, Matt, and I respect your opinion. I know you got Philly ties. I know you do work out there on Fox 29 Philly, all my people out there. I'm a Philly native. What's the question marks regarding the Eagles? They add Saquon. They improve the coordinators. Why don't you think necessarily that they can get back to their level from 2 years ago?
Oh, I think they're right in that next tier. I think they're in that group with the Cowboys and the Commanders.
That's disrespectful, though, Matt. The Commanders, Cowboys. Come on.
The biggest question mark I have with the Eagles guys is Nick Sirianni. That's the biggest question mark I have, because it's easy to build a winning culture while you're winning. It's easy to hype up your players by wearing their custom graphic T-shirt to the press conference on a Thursday after you just routed the Miami Dolphins on primetime football, right? It's a whole different thing than when the wheels start to come off and you don't know how to keep the group together. Mm-hmm. And I talked to people around the league last year in 3 or 4 different buildings, and almost unanimously, their 30,000-foot view autopsy of what went wrong was that he lost the locker room. The players sensed panic when they made the swap from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia at defensive coordinator, and he never got the room back. Now, I love what they've done. I think they've checked every box this offseason. If you read the column, I think I had Howie Roseman as Executive of the Year with Saquon pickup and Devin White and all the moves they made. I think they probably had one of the top 3 or 4 draft classes in the NFL. It just comes down to, can Nick Sirianni get it done? I'm a believer in Jalen Hurts. I think the offense is going to be a top 5 offense in the league. It's just when you're in tough playoff caliber games, meaningful football games, can you get it done? Can the coach make the difference? I got to see it to believe it.
Yeah, thank you. Will you listen to a Philly guy?
No, I got questions about Sirianni also. I'm with you, Matt. Coach, this is a prove-it kind of year for Sirianni.
Hey, Matt, looking
at a prove-it half year, my guys. With the investments they made over this offseason, I don't know.
Matt, I want to ask you about the 49ers, and we know that they've got some contract disputes here, and you got Brock Purdy, and you got you want to stop the run and this and that. A lot of concerns, obviously. What do you see right now as the 49ers' most pressing issue right now as they try to get back to the Super Bowl and actually win one?
Oh, boy. That's a loaded question, because I don't really see that many issues, right? I mean, can they get to week 1 with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk both on the roster? To me, that's the most pressing thing, right? You have the core, you have the weapons, you have the pieces, you have matchup nightmares all over the field. You have a very talented and disruptive defense, but you also have a lot of mouths to feed. You're going to have to worry about that Brock Purdy contract that's, screaming down the tracks at you at the end of this year. You have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk both relatively unhappy, and then you have Trent Williams, who, talking to sources around the league, there's a feeling that he either wants long-term security at age 36, right?
Yep.
Or in that $26 to $28 million per year range that you just saw Penei Sewell sign for at 23 years old. I don't know that you're going to get that. So I think it's the biggest worry for the 49ers. I don't think it's anything about the roster. I don't think it's anything when it comes to coaching. I don't buy any of those concerns. I think it's just, will everyone be in place and be pulling the rope in the same direction come week one? Because, again, I think they're the most gifted or, top two roster in the league in a conference where they're the prohibitive favorite for good reason.
Yeah, and Matt, let's stick with the money.
A great guest, Jay.
No, he's awesome. No, he knows what he's. Hey, no, he's keeping it real with me, and I appreciate that. With that being said, my boy Brandon Ayuk, I'm a big Ayuk fan. What's his value? I guess the reports were that the Niners offered him 26. He came back and said, "I want to trade." Where do you ultimately value him and see where is he a $30 million guy? Is he more than DJ Moore got what we saw yesterday? Where do you think Ayuk should slot in at?
Yeah, I think he's a little more than 26, but a little less than DJ Moore. Because I think DJ Moore is a unique talent in terms of the downfield speed that the Bears need and all that offense with Caleb and now bringing in Keenan Allen. I think that he's more vital to what the Bears are doing. I think Brandon Ayuk might be even more valuable to the 49ers than Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
I just don't know when you have guys, when you have a roster that loaded, eventually there are difficult decisions, right? It comes down to Deebo Samuel potentially or Brandon Ayuk. It comes down to, how much do you pay Brock Purdy? It comes down to how committed are you to Trent Williams beyond 2024? How much do you want to spend there? Salary cap's only so high. So I think that when you look at Ayuk, you look at maybe the A.J. Brown contract is the barometer. Maybe, somewhere between Jalen Waddle and A.J. Brown, you put Ayuk in that realm and hope that he's satisfied there. But what do you do if he just says, no, I'm not playing? It's $30 million or bust. At some point, maybe you shop him. You hate to do it because, again, I think that he's really valuable to that offense. I think he's a better route runner and has better hands than Deebo Samuel. But at some point, difficult decisions have to be made. And that might be one of the most pressing, difficult uncertainties that John Lynch has to manage between now and week one.
Matt, thank you very much for your time and your insight. Can't tell you how much I appreciate somebody coming in here talking some sense to drapes about the 49ers and the Eagles. So seriously, heavy on sports, Matt Lombardo. We appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of camp. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. Don't forget the Substack. You can find me on Substack too.
Okay.
You got it.
All right.
My bad. Thank you. Yeah. Matt,
you got it, boys.
Yeah. Enjoy the Hall of Fame game tomorrow night, if such a thing is possible. Right?
Right. Oh.
The Titans.
That's tomorrow?
No. The Bears and the Texans. Sorry, not the Titans.
Yeah, Bears and
the Texans.
And no Caleb Williams.
No. It'll be football. People will watch.
CJ Stroud? Probably not.
There was actually one of those back and forths on ESPN today about whether Aaron Rodgers should play in the preseason. Of course he shouldn't, right?
I guess, but it's been more than a year. Well, it'll be almost more than a year since the guy took real football snaps.
Maybe a series or two in their third exhibition.
Right.
I don't know. But if he doesn't play, you would understand that, wouldn't you? I don't think it's that big of a deal.
But would his first snap come in live? You know what I mean? Like, don't you need to test the Achilles out? Like, you don't want your first, live snap to be when, guys are really coming to get you. Like, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know.
I would be fine. Yeah, I could see if they had him play a couple series. But again, if they just keep on the bubble wrap till the season starts, I would understand that. He's played enough, and you can simulate it enough to the extent that he's going to know, yeah, I'm good. He's already good, right? As far as we know.
Right.
He says with all his other unusual methods, non-traditional methods, he's better than he was before.
Yeah, I hear you, because ultimately their season depends on his health. And if he was to get injured in a preseason game, the season would be over for the Jets. Mm-hmm. And so better safe than sorry. I get that.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. What do you think of this, Drapes, dear listener? The NFL is going to test, speaking of the preseason, they're going to test the Hawkeye for line to gain in some preseason games. So they're moving towards replacing the chain gang with the new technology that would measure the line to gain. This is Sony's Hawkeye technology. Mm-hmm. It would not be ready for full implementation until next season. Could happen sooner. So it's a matter of tracking where the ball is based on the computer program rather than
the chains,
the chain gang, or what the referee sees.
You're against this.
Well, here's what I'm against.
All right,
if you're going to do it, do it. I believe they have technology. You could put a chip in the ball, and you could know exactly where the ball is.
Yeah.
What they're doing with this, as I understand it, is, I think this is stupid. You're going to have the officials still spot it wherever they normally spot it and however they normally spot it. Then if it's like, all right, is that a first down or not? Bring in the chains. No. We don't need you guys. Hawkeye technology. Boop, 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 boop. All right, it's a half inch short. If you're going to use that, just use it to spot the ball. You know what I mean? I like the drama of bringing out.
You like the chain gang?
Yes.
Have you watched tennis lately? They got the Hawkeye system in tennis. They've had it for years.
Mm-hmm.
You don't love when the Hawkeye comes in and it shows and the crowd goes, oh, and then it shows it was out. Like there's a little build up there. There's a little.
I'm seriously asking this question. I'm not trying to make an argument. Why didn't they didn't have that for the Olympics and Coco Gauff?
Oh, yeah, I know. I
didn't
fully see. Maybe they didn't use it, but I've seen it in some of the majors.
Mm-hmm.
They use it and then they zoom in and you can see where the ball hits.
If you're going to if you're going to have the officials spot the ball manually, then let's do everything manually. If you're not, then let's go to the computer chip and have the computer tell us where the ball is. I like when it's like, and let's see, did he make the first down or not? Here's the spot, and they're going to bring
the chain.
Yes,
two guys that trip over themselves
come on, man. In the fourth quarter, it's like, well, if they picked it up here, they can run a clock, but if not, they're gonna have to go for it or kick a field goal. That's exciting.
Nah, man, this reeks of get off my lawn right here. This is in 2 years you'll think, but you know how it is too. They're trying to move things faster and faster and faster. That's how our society is. Cut down on wasted time. Mm-hmm. You got the Hawkeye, bam. You don't need to have guys. And what if the chain's way over there? You don't have to wait on guys running across the field.
We're reducing a significant amount of time.
There you go.
40 seconds for each time of use. That basically is making the game that much more impactful. Oh, yeah. We need to make up those 40 seconds. They are still going to have the bright orange sticks as backup capacity. All I'm saying is do one or the other, okay? To your point, you want to speed things up, be more accurate. Fine. Then do everything that way.
Use the Hawkeye for spotting the ball.
And even like I said, I believe there's talk of computer chips. Don't they use that to measure all the, next-gen stats and stuff? They measure how fast players are going. They can measure whatever they want now. So use it to measure where the stinking ball is instead of some guy and I'm like, we've seen some bad spots, right?
We've seen some bad spots. It's really hard to do. Yes, there have been some bad spots. If you have the
wherewithal to take that out of the game, then do it. Why kind of
baby steps, big fella? Baby steps. Let's gradually get to that point.
Why?
Next thing you're going to know, you don't want any officials on the field.
What about automated balls and strikes? That's coming too. That's inevitable. It's coming.
But that takes all. I'll be honest. When you look at baseball, and maybe Jay will be mad at me for saying this, but some of the allure is the different balls and strikes. And I'm talking from a sports talk, realm.
So you like the human element?
I like the human element.
But why, when I say that with a chain gang, you say, "Oh, it's Mr. Get Off My Lawn"?
No, because it's different. That's about time. This is about keeping the game pure. One of the all-time best things about sports is second guessing. Monday morning quarterback. This ref cheated. This ref got it wrong. This ref is horrible. No,
the game's fixed.
I mean, not fixed, but
I know.
The conspiracy theory, all that. You have just a robot. You take away 25% of our discourse when it comes to sports. Mm-hmm. Think about this. It's like,
so you like automation, but only so far.
Only to a certain extent. For something like whether a spot or whether something was in or out in tennis, I like it. I think it moves faster. I think there's less ambiguity. But for balls and strikes, the umpire is a critical part of the game, the experience.
I think they're going to be experimenting in the minor leagues with automatic balls and strikes. and you have a challenge, so you can challenge it. And I'm thinking, whoa.
How you going to challenge?
If I can challenge it, that means it's sometimes wrong.
Right.
If it's wrong sometimes, why are we using it?
Why are we doing it? Yeah. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. Doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm okay with some automation.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's try to guess what Jay would think.
Mr. J?
Robot balls and strikes. What do you say? Is he in or out?
Out.
I'm going to say, as a guy who probably is still mad about getting called out on a third strike that he knows was nowhere near a strike, I'm going to say he's in favor of it. What do we got, Jay?
Completely out.
Out.
I'm all about I'm a purist when it comes to umpires. You know, I like going out blue. You know, what was going on with that pitch? You know, I like asking blue, was that close? Is that high, a little up? Yeah, I'm with Drapes on this. I'm not in the robotic world of it. You know, iRobot, don't call me Will Smith. I'd rather get my balls and strikes from the umpire. And let me leave this with you guys. There's a lot of pitchers. Greg Maddux comes to mind that may not be Greg Maddux, may not be a Hall of Famer. You know, you throwing that low 91 down the middle compared to that 91 I was on
Clyde Drexler.
Right. But think about it,
revoking his Hall of Fame credentials.
Wasn't that what made Greg Maddux? He would see how far you would extend.
Him and Glavin both.
Yes, extend your strike zone, and once we finalize, you know, how far you're going to go out.
Yeah,
we'll just keep painting that there.
Yeah.
Keep painting. Now, if you got to bring that 91 mile per hour fastball down the middle that doesn't have a lot of movement, we're gonna hit that 350 feet or 700 feet as Mickey Mantle would.
Wasn't it the late great Eric Gregg? And I do believe he's
Eric
no longer
Gregg,
with us.
Eric
Gregg. And there's like pitches there skipping to the backstop.
That's right. That's right. Hey, catcher, you didn't catch it, but it went over the plate.
Yeah. What about the Hawkeye technology, Jay?
I'm with it for not baseball, but I take it for football. I'll take it for tennis. You know, tennis does it, like Drape said.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I'm good with the technology.
I'm fine. Let's do it or not. You're going to do it, fine. If you're not, don't.
So you want robots to be the referees, officials. You want them to do everything.
No,
okay.
I'm torn on the whole automatic balls and strikes. I'm trying to work up to that because I think it's inevitable. I think at some point I'm going to have to accept it. So I'm kind of trying to work on that. But I will miss umpires if it ever comes to that. With this, I just don't understand why you're kind of, half-assing it. It's like, well, we know
those are two different jobs, though, Whitey.
Yeah,
well, spotting the ball and measuring for a first down are two distinctly different jobs.
Yeah, but spotting the ball is way more important, right? Sometimes when there's a scrum.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Well, I believe you have the technology to actually accurately spot the ball. So why not do that instead of a chain gang? You guys stay there. We're going to save 40 seconds. Watch this. Modern technology.
So, okay, there's a big pile up and the running back, let's say, CMC's at the bottom of it. You're saying if we chip the ball, we pretty much know where the ball is, even amongst if there's 30 people on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not an expert in this field, but I believe they have the wherewithal to do that.
I got you. Okay. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, it would definitely change the pantheon of history, right? It would change a lot of different things that people have cried and argued. And as Drapes has talked about, sometimes I just want to have the Monday morning quarterback. Guys, did you see the referees and the Packers and the Eagles game yesterday? Yep. Like, that was terrible. But
well, you're right. I mean, he and Katie would have nothing to talk about if they couldn't complain about that.
That's not me. That's not me. Officials. No comment on that.
All right. Speaking of basketball, Team USA update.
Yeah.
Did Tatum play today? How did he do? How did Team USA do? And what's next? Coming up.